Welcome. In this video I'm going to be taking a look at this CUSTOS Smart Leak Detection and Prevention Kit. So this was provided to me by the distributor, but they're not compensating me for this video and they're not reviewing it before I post it. If you find this video helpful and you want to purchase one of these, I'll put a link to it in the description. If you use that link, it helps me out a little bit and doesn't cost you anything extra. Let's get this open. So here's a contact card, and on the opposite side is the installation guide. So the main part of this kit is this ball valve servo, and you put this on your main water shutoff, and then you have sensors you put near places where you think you might have a leak someday. And if it ever detects a leak, it will tell the ball valve servo to turn the main water off. So if you've ever had a water leak at your house, you know at a minimum it can be an inconvenience, and at worst it can cause thousands upon thousands of dollars in damage. So this device is meant to help prevent that. So this comes with the ball valve servo. It comes with wireless water detector, Wi-Fi control gateway, water detection probe 31.5 inch, water detection probe 55.1 inch, spacer, and power adapter. And it says before you install, this only works on ball valves. So ball valves are the types of valves that have levers on them, and you move that lever a quarter turn to turn it on or off. And it says for use with 1/2 inch to 1 1/4 inch ball valves only, and it doesn't work with the gate valves. So before I go over the rest of the instructions, let's take a look at the parts that came with it. So here's the ball valve servo. So as you can see here, this has tool-less installation on it. It has these clamps. So these will clamp onto the pipe on either side of the valve, and this will go over the ball valve to move it. This has a wire coming off of it. Here we have the wireless water detectors. Now you can see the metal here around the middle is on all 4 sides. So when you set these down, if it detects water on any of the sides, it will trigger. Here we have the CUSTOS gateway. Looks like it has 21700 lithium ion battery. So this does have battery backup, so it will work if the power goes out. That's a very important thing. Here's a power adapter. It's 12 volts at 1 amp. And you can see these have waterproof fittings. And here are the other 2 water sensors. This was the 31.5 and 55.1 inch water sensors. So they have a headphone style jack on them, and those will plug into the end here. And here's the spacer. So that's everything in the box. I'm going to read over these instructions, and then we'll go over the install and operation of this. Okay, so in the instructions, the first thing you do is you connect the ball valve servo to your shutoff valve. But I'm going to skip those steps, and I'm going to go to setting up the Wi-Fi control gateway and power adapter. The reason being is I'd rather do that on my bench here for the video. If I was setting this up at my home, I would connect this up and just do it in order. So I'll get everything plugged in. Here's the ball valve servo. And I might as well show this here. On the power cord, there is this little plastic thing with rubber inside. You can pull this out, and it's a port where you can plug in one of these water sensors. So you could plug the water sensor into one of these, or you could plug it into the main unit. So I have the power cord ready now. I'll connect that up to the Wi-Fi control gateway. So this is a standard sort of barrel jack, but it has rubber gaskets and such in here, so when you tighten this down, it becomes waterproof. Then we have the power adapter, has the same thing on the other side. So I have the ball valve servo, I have the gateway, and the power cord. So now I'll plug this in. Heard a beep. And next I'll set up the app. So there's a QR code on the instructions, but I'll just search for the CUSTOS app in the App Store. So I'll search for CUSTOS Home. I see it here, I'll hit Get. I'll open the app. It says it would like to send notifications. I'll allow that. You would typically want to send notifications on an app so you would know if your water system has a leak. Now it says sign up or log in, so I'll sign up. It has terms and conditions. I'll read through those. I'll hit agree. It has a privacy policy. Hit agree. It's verifying my email, so I'll enter the code in. I'll hit continue. It says verified. I'll hit continue. It says you haven't any device. Please press the below button or plus in the right top hand corner to add a device. So I'll hit add device. It says let's start with installation. So I'll hit start. Okay, so this is talking about how to install it. So now it says scan the QR code. I'll hit next. It says it would like to use the camera. I'll say okay. So I'm going to scan the QR code on the back of the gateway. Once you use my location, I'll say allow once. It says CUSTOS Home wants to join the Wi-Fi network WCG 5800. I'll say join. It says make sure it's activated and close to the water valve actuator. It says set up a Wi-Fi connection. So I'll choose my Wi-Fi access point. I'll enter in the password. So this is going to set up Wi-Fi on the Wi-Fi gateway. I'll hit continue. It says network timeout. Try that again. So it worked that time. It says select the location. I'll hit next. It says input location or remark of this device. So I'll just say water meter. I'll hit save. It says use the default name or enter custom. I'll just say save. Okay, it beeped. And there's a light on top of the ball valve. It says calibration. Tap once in the ball valve servo that UV link logo positioned and wait for the valve is becoming open position. So I will skip that for now, and I'll just say that's at the water meter. I'll call it ball valve servo. I'll hit save. Device is added. Okay, so I have the app connected up now. Now I can head over to my meter and get this installed. Okay, so here we're at my ball valve. And if we look at my water meter, I have valves on both sides. So this is the street side, this is the house side. You want to do this on the house side valve. You don't really want to touch the street side valve typically. And that is the wrong type of valve too. So we want to shut the water off like so. And then the ball valve servo is going to go over the valve. So this is going to line up with this nut on the end of the valve. This is going to press in, and you can see some like teeth here. You want those to be hidden. If those aren't hidden when this presses in, you want to use the spacer that came with this in here so this presses in far enough. Okay, so I'll test fit this on here. Okay, so this is not fitting on here. When I put this on, this middle portion does not line up here, so these sides slide. Now these can be a little bit stiff, but you want to push them over. That's too far there. I'll pull it back a little bit. But that'll allow me to position this, so I'll try this now. So I think that right there is going to work. So I'm going to press in on this. I want to make sure this is in line with the pivot on the valve, and then I'll tighten these down. Okay, I think I have a good grip there. I'll plug everything back in now. So this is powered up because this has a battery in it. But I'll plug this into the wall. Okay, so I'm going to get back into the app. Okay, so it says ball valve servo is closed. I'll tap on it. I'll hit open. So now it's moving it. Okay, that's open. I'll hit close. So it also has a button on it. I can touch it, and that will close it. So there are instructions on here on disabling that button. So if you have this outside or where you could have people touching it as a nuisance, you can disable that button. So it's nice they give you a way to actuate the ball valve with the device attached. Now in a worst case scenario, if this failed completely, it's not hard to take this off. You could just loosen these thumb screws, pull it off, and shut the valve. So I have the gateway on the ground here. This should be mounted 4 foot or higher in the air. So I'll be mounting this up on the wall. Let's take a look at this app real quick. On the gateway, if we tap it, it shows the stats and such. We look at the ball valve servo. We have that open close. It says water detection dry, and it has the temperature. Let's hit the little gear up here. On there we can change the name. So having the temperature here is very nice because there are a couple of different things that can cause problems with your water system. One would be a leak somewhere, which this is made to mitigate. Another could be freezing. So if this gets to below freezing temperature, that could burst your pipes and that could cause a really bad issue. So you can monitor your temperature with this. So on the bottom we have notification. So it has notifications when this is opening and closing. Then also on the bottom we have settings where you can change your password and such. So let's add a sensor now. I'll scan the QR code on a sensor. It says please have this device ready on your hand and stay near to the CUSTOS valve actuator. After you press add device, you need to activate the device by water from hibernation by applying water to 2 of its detection probes within 30 seconds. So I'll hit add device. And I've got a little water here. Dump it on the ground. Got a little puddle. I'll set this in it. It says waiting for device pairing. Okay, it says select the location. So I added one in here called furnace. I'll hit next. It says use the default name or enter custom. I'll call this humidifier. I have a whole house humidifier, which sometimes overflows and causes a leak. So with this sensor, it will shut the water off and that will no longer happen. So I'll hit save. I'll hit close. So now it says the humidifier sensor is triggered and the ball valve servo is closed. So I'll take this off here. I'll dry it off. From the app, I'll open the ball valve servo back up. So now I'll take this sensor. I'll set it in the water. This will simulate a plumbing leak and we should see the valve close. If we look at the app, it says dry. Okay. So it detected it. It says trigger, and it says the ball valve servo is moving. So that is very slick. So again, I'll take this off. I'll open it back up. Now I'll pull this plug out. I'll plug in one of these sensors and I'll set this probe in the water. This has contacts on 3 sides here. It looks like you could even screw it to something, so I'll just set it down there in the water. And now it's shutting the water off. I'll take the sensor out. It went back to saying dry. I can press the button and it will turn the water back on. So that's pretty impressive. So that's the CUSTOS Smart Leak Detection and Prevention Kit. So that was very impressive. So this comes with 2 water sensors and 2 cords, but you can hook one of the cords up here, so you could actually have 3 water sensors. And the nice thing about this system is that it's Wi-Fi enabled, so it will notify you of a water leak even if you're not home. And let me show that real quick. So here's a notification I just got on my iPad. It says, would you like to mute notifications? It popped off the screen there. I'll say not now. And it says the valve was closed. So we can tap on this and we can see I've had quite a few as I've been testing it here. But while this has Wi-Fi, it does not require it to operate. So if you have a power outage, something with the water starts leaking, these can still communicate with this device. This has the battery back up here and it can shut off. And I'll just show that by unscrewing the power here. Now the battery is still charging, but hopefully it has enough charge. I'll press the button and I'll turn it back on. Okay, now I'll plug this back in. Now I do think my water valve was a good example of a water valve that goes right into an elbow. So this fits on there with an elbow. You saw I was able to move this over and make it fit here. I do have this electrical clamp. Now that could also be relocated somewhere. I could maybe even relocate it in here or right on the valve body itself. But this is definitely going to give me peace of mind when I travel. Previously I've shut the water off when I travel. I don't like doing that, especially in the wintertime, because that will turn off the humidifier and the house will get really dry while I'm gone. If you have hardwood floors, which I don't, but then the hardwood floors could get damaged. So I do like to keep the water on when I leave. This way I'll be able to leave it on, but then I'll know if there's a water leak that this has me covered. Okay, so I wanted to do a quick overview of my final setup. I have the ball valve servo here. I connected one of the sensor wires here and ran that over to the washer area. Now, in the instructions it said these were different lengths, but both of mine were around 56 inches, so that's something to keep in mind. So if the washer leaks, this will shut off the water. Now, if the drain leaks on the washer, this will also shut the water off. Now, the drain is separate from the water supply, so you really don't need the water shut off for that, but it will notify you, and it is still an issue you need to take care of. So I've run this up here. I've mounted the gateway here and I have it plugged in over here to the left. Now we're in my furnace area. I have my humidifier here. Over in this corner is where water will run down. Now this is an unfinished floor, so if you have a floor like this, you could always just pour some water on it and see where it runs. But water will go past this corner if the humidifier leaks, but also I have the condensate drain on the furnace that could also leak. Again, shutting the water off is not going to remedy that issue, but it will still notify me of it. So it'll be a minor inconvenience to have the water shut off, but it will be made up by the fact that I know that my condensate drain is clogged. So in this corner, I already have a water alarm, and it's just a standalone water alarm, and it's fine to have that. It's very reliable, and it pairs well with a smarter solution like I'm using. But here I have the sensor, and you can see this is on a piece of paper towel. So I found that works well with water sensors. If the water hits over here where it could potentially trickle past, it will soak into the paper towel all the way across here. So if you have a broader area you want to monitor, just throw a paper towel down and put your sensor in the middle of it, and that will widen the sensor range of your sensor. So another thing to consider is that this sensor sitting here, if I pick this up and try and move it, I will get a notification on my app that someone's trying to tamper with it. So maybe you have this in your basement, your kid goes around and kicks it or something. You'll get that notification so you know that you can replace it. So let's go to my last sensor. So here I'm at my refrigerator. I have the sensor down here by the front, and I have the cord plugged in, and that's going into the back where the water supply line is for the ice maker. So if that water supply line ruptures, it will trigger that remote line and shut the water off. Now up here, I've had problems with the defroster backing up and the water coming down here. So that's another situation where this will notify me of a water leak not related to my water main. It will still shut the water off, but that makes it super convenient. And I did test that this will work with the remote sensor and the main sensor at the same time. So that gives you really good coverage here. So with this kit, I'm covering 3 areas that I'm concerned about in my house, places that I know I've had leaks before or that are prone to leakage. So that's all I'm going to cover in this video. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. If you like this video, please click like. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, I'd appreciate if you could do that. And thanks for watching. Until next time, goodbye.